92-year-old Margaret just told me the biggest lie she lived her entire life. What she revealed next about the decades she wasted will make you question everything you think you know about success. Ask any person over 70 about their biggest surprise in life, and they'll tell you the same thing. Time moved faster than they ever expected. One day, they were 25, worried about their first job. The next moment, they're looking at retirement papers wondering where 4 decades disappeared to. The years just flew by, they say, shaking their heads with that knowing look. Well, there's actual science behind this feeling, and it's not just nostalgia playing tricks on their memory. When you're 10 years old, 1 year represents 10% of your entire existence. That's huge. But when you're 50, that same year is only 2% of your life. Makes sense, right? Your brain processes time differently as you accumulate more experiences. Each new year feels smaller compared to everything you've already lived through. Then there's the brutal truth about how we actually spend our time. Research shows the average person will spend over 17 years staring at screens by age 60. 17 years. That's longer than most people spend getting an education. Yet somehow we convince ourselves we don't have time for the gym, or calling old friends, or learning that guitar gathering dust in the corner. The seniors who share their regrets aren't trying to depress anyone. They're desperately trying to prevent others from making the same mistakes. Time is your most precious resource, they'll tell you, and they mean it literally. You can make more money, buy new things, even find new relationships, but you cannot manufacture more time. And the weird part is how we treat this irreplaceable resource. We'll research for hours before buying a $200 phone, but we'll waste entire weekends without a second thought. We'll protect our money with passwords and security systems, yet throw away our time on things that don't matter to us 5 years later. Most people operate under a dangerous assumption that tomorrow is guaranteed. They postpone conversations that matter, delay trips they want to take, and put off dreams until someday. But every person who's lived long enough knows someday isn't a day of the week. It's a convenient lie we tell ourselves to avoid making tough decisions today. The regret isn't just about wasted time, though. It's about the specific moments that slip away while we're busy planning for a future that might never come. The coffee date you postponed because work was busy. The phone call to your grandmother you kept meaning to make. The hobby you said you'd start after things settled down. Wishing to go back and change things is probably the most universal human experience after age 50. Everyone has their version of "if I could do it over again." But here's what separates wishful thinking from wisdom: understanding that time only moves in one direction. The clock doesn't care about your regrets or your plans. It just keeps ticking forward, indifferent to whether you're making the most of each moment or letting them slip away unnoticed. But while you can't rewind time, there's something else entirely you can control that might surprise you. Your bank account might have 6 figures, but what good is it if you can't climb stairs without losing your breath? Here's something nobody tells you when you're young and invincible. Money becomes worthless when your body starts falling apart. You can't buy back your knees, your heart, or your energy once they're gone. By age 60, a staggering 61% of people deal with at least one chronic health condition. That's not just a number. That's your future if you ignore your body today. Diabetes, heart disease, arthritis, these aren't distant possibilities. They're coming for you unless you fight back now. The cruel irony? Most seniors say their biggest regret isn't about missed promotions or bad investments. It's skipping exercise, ignoring sleep, and treating their bodies like garbage disposals. Well, your body keeps score, and the bill always comes due. Let's not forget the simple truth that hits hardest. You can hire someone to clean your house, cook your meals, even manage your money, but you can't hire someone to be healthy for you. That job belongs to you alone, and there are no shortcuts. Then there's the exercise excuse everyone loves. I don't have time. Really? You'll find plenty of time for doctor visits and hospital stays later. The average person spends more time choosing what to watch on Netflix than planning their meals. Makes sense, right? Sleep gets treated like a luxury instead of a necessity. Your brain literally cleans itself while you sleep, flushing out toxins that build up during the day. Skip sleep consistently, and you're basically refusing to take out your mental garbage. That pile gets pretty nasty over time. But here's what really gets seniors fired up. People who skip regular checkups. I feel fine, they say. Cancer felt fine too, until it didn't. High blood pressure is called the silent killer for a reason. It doesn't send warning texts. The weird part is how stress sneaks up on everyone. You think you're handling it, pushing through another deadline, another crisis? Meanwhile, stress hormones are quietly destroying your immune system, aging your cells, and stealing years from your life. Those daily walks and meditation sessions aren't hippie nonsense. They're life insurance policies. And the food situation? Seniors laugh about how they survived on pizza and energy drinks in their 20s. They're not laughing about the diabetes medication they take now. Every meal is either fighting disease or feeding it. There's no neutral ground. Your body is the only vehicle you get for this entire journey. You can't trade it in for a newer model at 50. You can't return it for a refund when parts start breaking down. The maintenance you skip today becomes the emergency repairs you can't avoid tomorrow. The good news, hiding in all this doom, small changes compound over time. A 20-minute walk today. 8 hours of sleep tonight. One healthy meal this week. These aren't revolutionary acts, but they're the building blocks of a body that won't betray you later. Speaking of things that matter long-term, there's something even more valuable than health that most people completely overlook. Here's something that might surprise you. When researchers asked 1,000 people over 70 what they remembered most vividly from their lives, less than 3% mentioned their biggest career achievements. Instead, they talked about Sunday dinners with family, late-night conversations with friends, and moments when someone said, "I love you" for the first time. Your brain works differently than you think. It doesn't file away promotions or awards the same way it stores emotional connections. That argument you had with your sister 5 years ago, your mind holds on to that clearer than your last performance review. Makes sense, right? We're wired for relationships, not spreadsheets. The Harvard study of adult development tracked people for over 80 years, and the results are pretty clear. Good relationships keep us happier and healthier, period. But here's what's really interesting. Most people figure this out way too late. Over 60% of seniors say they wish they'd spent less time climbing the corporate ladder and more time actually talking to the people who mattered. Then there's the friendship problem nobody talks about. After age 25, the average person loses touch with one close friend every 5 years. By 50, most people can count their real friends on one hand. The weird part is, it's completely preventable. One text message, one phone call, one coffee date, that's usually all it takes to keep a friendship alive. Let's not forget about family dynamics. Many older adults carry regrets about unsaid words and unresolved conflicts. That grudge with your brother over something that happened in 2018, it probably won't matter when you're 75, but the relationship you could have rebuilt during those years absolutely will. Saying "I'm sorry" or "I love you" feels awkward for about 10 seconds. Not saying it feels awful for decades. Well, here's another pattern that keeps showing up. People remember the stories their grandparents told them, but they forget to collect stories from their own parents until it's too late. Every week, thousands of family histories disappear forever because nobody thought to ask questions while they still could. Your dad's story about his first job, your mom's memories of her childhood, these aren't just nice anecdotes. They're pieces of you that vanish if you don't preserve them. Listening becomes a superpower as you get older. The seniors who seem happiest aren't the ones who achieve the most impressive things. They're the ones who remember birthdays, show up when people need them, and actually hear what others are saying instead of just waiting for their turn to talk. And the truth about success? It's not measured by what you accomplished alone, it's measured by how many people genuinely miss you when you're not around. The relationships you build today determine whether your later years feel lonely or fulfilling. But building meaningful connections isn't just about having people to call. There's something even more fundamental that affects every relationship you'll ever have, and most people completely misunderstand it. Here's something that might shock you. The average American over 55 carries $28,600 in debt. That's not a typo. Nearly $30,000 hanging over their heads when they should be winding down. But the real tragedy isn't the number itself, it's what it represents. Years of treating money like the enemy instead of the tool it actually is. Most people get this backwards from day one. They chase money like it's the finish line, when really, it's just the running shoes. Seniors who've lived through decades of financial ups and downs will tell you straight, money isn't your goal, it's your freedom maker. The difference between these two approaches, one leaves you exhausted and broke. The other leaves you sleeping soundly at night. Let's talk about something financial advisors rarely mention: the peace factor. When you save regularly, even small amounts, your brain literally relaxes. You stop checking your bank account with that sinking feeling. You stop avoiding conversations about vacation plans or car repairs. Makes sense, right? But here's where it gets interesting. Most people think they need huge amounts to feel secure. Wrong. It's the habit that brings peace, not the balance. The smartest seniors started building passive income before they hit 40. Rental properties, dividend stocks, small business investments, anything that pays while they sleep. One 67-year-old put it perfectly. My money works harder than I ever did. These aren't Wall Street wizards we're talking about. Regular people who figured out the game early enough to let compound interest do the heavy lifting. Then there's the career trap that catches almost everyone. You spend decades climbing ladders, collecting titles, impressing people whose names you'll forget in retirement. Meanwhile, you're missing the real point. Your job doesn't define you. Never did. The sooner you realize this, the sooner you can make career decisions based on what actually matters: fulfillment, balance, and yes, adequate compensation without selling your soul. Well, here's something beautiful that emerges from this mindset shift. When money becomes a tool instead of a master, giving becomes natural. Seniors consistently report that their most satisfying purchases weren't purchases at all. They were gifts, donations, experiences shared with others. There's actual science behind this. Spending money on others triggers the same brain chemicals as eating chocolate or falling in love. Who knew generosity was addictive? The weird part is how backwards most people approach debt. They'll research a $50 restaurant for 20 minutes, but sign mortgage papers they barely understand. They'll coupon clip groceries, then pay minimum balances on credit cards, charging 24% interest. It's like plugging holes in a bucket while someone else pours water in the top. Financial mistakes create the deepest regrets because they compound over time. Miss one investment opportunity at 25, and you're looking at potentially hundreds of thousands less at retirement. Skip building an emergency fund, and one medical bill can derail decades of careful planning. But money mastery opens doors to something even more valuable than security. It creates the space for presence and purpose that truly defines a life well lived. Here's something that might surprise you. 15% of seniors say their biggest regret isn't about money or career choices. It's about rushing through life without actually living it. They wish they'd stopped to notice the coffee smell in the morning, the way sunlight hit their kitchen table, their kids' laugh during breakfast. Being present sounds simple, but most of us are terrible at it. We're planning tomorrow while today slips away. We're checking phones during conversations that matter. The average person touches their phone 2,617 times a day. That's a lot of missed moments. But here's what's even more important than being present: learning to roll with life's punches. Seniors who adapted well to change report higher life satisfaction than those who fought every shift. Makes sense, right? Life doesn't ask permission before throwing curveballs. Take career changes. The average person switches jobs 12 times during their lifetime. Yet we still panic when our path changes direction. Well, maybe that's because we think failure means we're broken. Spoiler alert, everyone fails. The difference is what you do next. Self-respect becomes crucial as you age. You realize you can't please everyone, and that's actually liberating. Setting boundaries isn't mean, it's necessary. Some people won't like you no matter what you do. That's their problem, not yours. Then there's the retirement reality nobody talks about. After decades of working, many people feel lost. They've defined themselves by their job title for so long that retirement feels like losing their identity. But here's the weird part. This can actually become the best chapter of your life. Volunteering gives retired people something powerful: purpose. Studies show volunteers live longer and report higher happiness levels. Helping at food banks, mentoring young people, teaching skills, these activities create meaning that paychecks never could. Faith becomes more important with age too, whether that's traditional religion or personal spirituality. It's not about being perfect. It's about finding something bigger than yourself to believe in, something that makes the tough days bearable and the good days feel like gifts. Let's not forget about learning. Your brain doesn't have an expiration date. Seniors who keep learning new skills, languages, crafts, technology stay sharper longer. They're more interesting to be around too. Nobody wants to hear the same stories for the 20th time. The key is staying curious. Ask questions. Try things that scare you a little. Take that art class. Learn to use new apps. Travel somewhere different. Age doesn't mean becoming boring. Connection remains vital throughout every life stage. not social media connections, real ones. Phone calls instead of texts, coffee dates instead of comments, hugs instead of emojis. And the weird part is, once you accept that change is constant, life becomes less stressful. You stop fighting the current and start swimming with it. Problems become puzzles to solve instead of disasters to survive. The seniors who seem happiest share one trait. They embrace whatever comes next. They know their story isn't over just because they're older. In fact, some of their best chapters are still being written. Every day offers chances to be present, adapt, and connect. Don't waste them waiting for perfect moments that never come.